talking about the podcast. We're talking about the podcast. The podcast. Merry Mini Monday, Chunkies. I'm Carter.
I'm Doge.
Ever since he was clearing his throat before we started recording, he's just kind of stuck there.
He done cleared all the consonants out of his throat.
Should we let that happen naturally?
I'm mayoring on accident, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm mayoring. Everybody back up. I'm mayoring.
Everybody back up. Be careful. I've heard his tour right now is really good.
Yeah.
Did you? Tour that
I'm not surprised.
I saw a video of somebody holding up a multiple choice sign with 3 blanks, and it was like 3 different songs, and they asked John to pick which multiple choice he wanted to do. And then they revealed what song it was, and he was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it.
No way.
Sounds pretty fun. John Mayer's been on a redemption tour for the last 5 years. He's doing great.
Yeah. I think he's doing a good job. First, you just got to own it. You know, first, not self-deprecating too much, but at first you just got to be like, hey, man, I screwed up. I was a narcissist.
Yeah.
You know? Anyways.
Now he just likes to wear big pants and play guitar. You know, that's all he likes to do.
Who doesn't?
Big pants, big guitar.
Sounds like this entire podcast. You know, that's how we.
I love wearing big pants.
Can't get enough of those big pants.
That's not it. Big box office for Super Mario Brothers. It is in 1 week now at $440 million worldwide. I believe it was one of you that said this is about to. We collectively said that's going to print money. Mario as an IP is a world renowned culturally. Like people know about this. Domestically, $250 million in the US in a week. And so the world is just kind of like, oh, Super Mario Brothers can bring in the dough, eh? So I'm sure we're going to get
everybody's surprised.
Yeah.
Who's surprised that the Mario movie is cleaning up? Who's shocked by this?
People who remember the old Mario movie. The previous Mario.
Here's what's funny. It's like if you're paying $15 for a movie that's 3 hours long, and then you pay $15 for a movie that's 90 minutes long, and then you're like, I could go see it again. That's $30.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some value in these shorter flicks too for making more. I think
make more 90-minute movies.
Yeah,
that's my stance.
It's a highly rewatchable boy, and so that's super exciting. Some other news we have: there was a trailer that dropped for the new True Detective. Thank you, Doge, for pointing that out. Watched that right before this podcast started recording not too long ago. True Detective with Clarice, I think, is the sequel. It's interesting to see Jodie Foster in a role as a detective. I think she can pull that off. I think that'll be good.
Seems so far outside her wheelhouse.
My doubts.
Yeah, True Detective Night Country. It's going to be dark, as True Detective tends to be. But now they're just straight up putting us in a place with no sunshines. But looking forward to that.
Feels like a little bit of like a soft relaunch for True Detective as a IP, being the first subtitled season, the first. I know the Spirals showed up briefly in season 3, but this one seems like it's the first with like direct, obvious callbacks to a previous season.
I mean, season 2 was pretty widely poorly received.
Yeah.
And season 3 was just sort of meh across the board ratings wise.
Yeah.
And so I
like season 3. I thought season 3 was really fun. Mahershala Ali was incredible.
Yeah, I liked season 3. But nothing has really captured the magic of season 1 for me.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping
was the magic of season 1 the chemistry of Matt and Woody though?
That was certainly part of it.
I think that was part of it. Yeah.
But I think that the sort of like the toe dip into magical realism
down
in season 1 really is kind of what made things greater than the sum of its parts to me. The fact that it was like never really addressed, never really amounted to much of anything, but there was some implied supernatural influence that never really...
Or at least the undercurrent of like the occult or something.
Yeah. And so I think that is part of the magic of this, and that looks to be back.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I was reading a Polygon article about the trailer that was saying it looks like
I read the same one.
these lingering wide shots that season 1 had that seemed to leave room for the supernatural in the shot, like almost implying that something bigger was going on. That looks like it's kind of back here in season 4, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I think it's coming back to being just a little bit more simple. I think season 1 was pretty simple. It was just about characters and the environment. I think we kind of got into too many timelines in season 2. I think that's the most timelines we had, and that was the toughest. A lot of people to follow, and that's not really what it feels like that show's meant for. Speaking of Mahershala Ali, it was announced forever ago that he was going to be the next Blade in the MCU. And he has been pretty protective of this movie. I think they've given him a lot of power in terms of deciding what direction to go. I think there was some kind of rumor as to, not necessarily a rewrite, but they were going a direction he didn't like very much.
It was a rewrite.
He pushed the production back.
I'm not, if this is the movie, I'm not in. And I promise I'm in, so this is not the movie.
Yeah. And then, so Mia Goth, who I love, she's like a top Scream Queen. Scream Queen. Mia Goth, a name made for horror, is coming into perhaps likely the bloodiest installment. Well, Doctor Strange's most recent installment was pretty bloody too.
Yeah.
But coming into an installment that I think fits her really well.
These rewrites have reportedly completely eliminated Kit Harington's Black Knight character, who was introduced in the Eternals.
Wow.
No way. What?
Not just from Blade, but from the MCU entirely.
No way. What?
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Do you guys remember when we saw that movie and we had a long conversation about will Harry Styles and Kit Harington even matter?
Nah.
At all?
They will not.
Harry did, but not in the
answer,
MCU.
of course, is no. Was Kit Harington in? Was that Eternals as well?
Yeah, because he's Gemma Chan's boyfriend.
Yeah. I mean, it was to me that might be
the Eternals even matter. To be honest,
they don't.
The Celestial, the corpse of the Celestial, will factor in one particular upcoming movie.
Will it though?
Guaranteed. Yeah. Yeah. It's like in the plot summary.
He's already seen it, dude. You know that.
Yeah, I forgot he's already seen it. I think
I am from the future.
The Eternals might be, and I don't even think it's the worst movie of the most recent phase, but the Eternals might be like the most obvious evidence of Marvel's current issue, I think, which is specifically like, I think Kit Harington and Harry Styles are the most emblematic of it, of just like, stop calling shots that you don't really have any intention behind.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I think they're hoping that it's the equivalent of Tim Blake Nelson almost becoming a supervillain at the end of The Incredible Hulk in 2008.
Right.
And then now he's back like in Captain America New World Order next year or the year after. Yeah. I think they don't want to quite put any of their toys back in the toy box in case they want to play with them again later. Yeah. But it's exhausting.
It feels so much to me like having Chloe Zhao direct this movie, who I know this podcast respects a lot.
Yeah.
Feels like when Rian Johnson got to do one installment of Star Wars. It's just kind of like, great director. They're going to go ahead and do their own thing for something that doesn't ultimately matter at all to the overall story.
I think both of those movies, both The Last Jedi and The Eternals, are great. Like, they're great. It's okay. Here's a sports analogy. This is for you, Carter. They're a player who's very good individually, but it seems as though the team's entire strategy is funnel the ball to this player, and this player is never going to pass. They're never going to be a good team player. They're just an outstanding solo entry.
Yep. Russell Westbrook, dude. That's right on the nose.
That's who I was thinking of when I was saying that.
Well, you texted me that too.
Yeah.
So I finally put these together.
I even feel like a more apt analogy is it's a player that the team planned to center their entire game around.
Sure.
And they showed up to the game and they were like, actually, do not pass the ball to this person ever.
Yeah. Unfortunate. But if anything, too, it's like, if it's just a one-off, I'm fine for Chloe Zhao to not be tied to the MCU.
Yeah. For sure.
Like, put your energy other places. Rian Johnson, go ahead and make 5 Glass Onion or 5 Knives Out movies. Like, thank you. Like, I'm glad that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Another thing to talk about here that's probably the biggest news that dropped over the last week is that HBO is greenlit, like they're going to do a Harry Potter series. And there was a lot.
There is contention for biggest news of the last week because 3 new Star Wars movies were announced over the last week. That is
also big news.
But yes, we'll talk about Harry Potter.
Yeah, we'll talk about Harry Potter.
This Harry Potter series.
Still contention for biggest news of the last week because the final trailer for Tears of the Kingdom came out yesterday. So literally, who cares about any of this?
But that's wild too. By the way, there's a lot of good things in the world.
Oh yeah,
that's a quote I think Confucius
A lot of good things.
Harry Potter
in the
series
world.
adaptation officially ordered at HBO Max will feature an entirely new cast. Entirely new. That feels broad. I think there's probably one or two people you could bring back if you wanted to. But if they're going to call their shot this early and say we're going entirely new, that's fine. My overall feeling, because we don't have anything outside of the vagueness of we're going to do it, it's going to follow the same crew that the movies did, and each season essentially is going to be a book, right? So almost a decade-long series. I'm in. This is something that I have wanted. It's something that I literally mentioned during our series, Do You Believe in Magic?, in which I said the best case scenario actually for this IP is for a studio or a platform like HBO, I think I actually said HBO, to pick this show up because we're missing so much. My overall take is there's a lot of story that we miss when we try and do. I looked it up. It was like 19 and a half hours for all these 8 movies, and there's 4,224 pages. And so it's kind of like, you're just not going to get it all. And so, yes, there's the Alan Rickmans of the world. There's our Gary Oldmans of the world that were kind of made for the roles that they play. Good luck finding a better Dolores Umbridge. I mean, Ray Fiennes as Voldemort. Like, what do you even do? So that's really, really hard. And it's really soon. But overall, I'm down. And when we're talking soon, I don't know if 2 years or 3 years from now will still feel soon, because I imagine that's how long it'll take before we even get a season of
That'll be almost 15 years since the release of Deathly
Rings
Hallows
of
Part
Power
2.
vibe, right? We talked about that on one of the first episodes of Two Chunks, and it came out during season 5 of Two Chunks, and so it's still going to be a while before these things happen. But
so here's the biggest things that I think this has going for it. Number one, HBO puts out better quality than WB itself does. So I think that an HBO TV show has a much higher likelihood of being quality all the way throughout than a WB movie series.
Like Game of Thrones. Famously good the whole time.
Well, the good thing about Harry Potter is it's finished.
Yeah.
You could name the one bad HBO show, or you could name the dozens of really good ones. Those are the two options. But then also, the books are done.
Yeah. They are finished.
So they can begin with the end in mind rather than begin with the next movie in mind.
Yeah.
I think, so I have two things. The books are done and the books are fine.
Yeah.
They're at best fine. I
think they're good.
I love the Harry Potter
I think I'm a little exhausted by Harry Potter. It's a little man, I get that this was super influential, at a certain point in your life, but I promise there's other really good stuff out there, which people listening probably would say the same thing about me and the way I feel about Spider-Man or Harry Potter. So, or about Star Wars. So I totally get it. To me, this feels like if The Amazing Spider-Man came out with Andrew Garfield after we'd had some Tobies, and the trailer for The Amazing Spider-Man showed the exact same Spider-Man suit and the same music from Danny Elfman. Yeah. I think HBO, you either go all in or all out. The trailer featuring the exact same logo from the movies, which I get is the logo from the books, the exact same logo from the movies of the last 20 years, the exact same rendered image of Hogwarts that is on the DVD cover on the box set of all 8 Daniel Radcliffe Harry Potter movies, and the exact same John Williams suite is man, that is so much that is tied to, yes, the brand of Harry Potter, but specifically Harry Potter as it started with the Chris Columbus movies 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the cross-contamination of that is confusing and frustrating to me. And I don't know, man. I'm just not, I think I'm pretty out on it. I'm just not really that interested in this.
Yeah. I'm a 9 out of 10 interested, I'd say.
I'm a 2 out of 10 interested.
I'd probably say I'm a 7 out of 10 interested.
That's fine.
I'll watch it.
Rules,
I'm going to watch it for sure.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things, and you've already alluded to it a little bit, Doge, is the nostalgia factor, right? It's tough because I couldn't help but think of the scene from Toy Story, our montage of Woody being replaced by Buzz and the wallpaper changes. And it's just kind of like, hey, this is still the same thing that I play with. We're kind of in the same scenarios, but it's a completely different look now.
Now, Harry Potter with a Randy Newman soundtrack.
Yeah. I mean,
give me a ring.
I mean,
give me a ring a ding, a ring a ding ding.
Yo, a wizard.
and we must protect this school.
Gotta go to magic school.
Speaking of magic school, let's talk really quick about Spring Delirium. There's a lot of news out there. I promise we're still going to touch on the Star Wars stuff, but this is a mini Monday, and so we're not trying to get too deep into it because we're going to get into the box after the ad break. But right before the ad break, I do want us to talk about our Spring Delirium winners for the Sweet 16. Thank you to those that went and voted on our Spring Delirium bracket. We're going from the Sweet 16 to the Elite 8. I talk about Magic School, and I'll just jump down to it so that we don't lose the cleverness of the transition. But it was Miss Frizzle against Homer Simpson, and 76% of that vote went to Miss Frizzle.
Good.
Miss Frizzle will make it to the Elite 8.
See,
Bugs Bunny.
Hold on one second. Just hold on one second. There's been a lot of controversy about this bracket because people's favorite people go bye-bye.
Yeah.
When Miss Frizzle beats Homer Simpson, which, by the way, I agree with. That's how I would have voted as well. You got to understand how subjective these things are and also realize that your favorite people were never going to beat SpongeBob. You know what I mean? It just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, it's
so,
tough.
You're all playing for second anyway.
Yeah. Bugs Bunny against Lion-O. Here's a good example. Bugs Bunny gets 96.7% of the
as
vote.
he should.
So Bugs Bunny
It's Bugs
moves
Bunny.
on. Here's a close one. We had our matchup with Zuko and Alvin and the Chipmunks, and our winner had 53% of the vote, with the loser at 46, almost 47% of the vote. The winner here was Zuko.
Sure.
So Alvin and the Chipmunks, and especially with our metaphor of us being the Chipmunks, essentially, the two chunks being the Chipmunks, maybe this is a little bit of a dig at us, but Alvin and the Chipmunks doesn't move on.
I think
Zuko
so.
moves on.
People were being really, really angry, whiny babies about the way that we chose to do our Spring Delirium up to this point.
I wouldn't say whiny babies.
I wouldn't
They
say
were upset.
whiny babies.
They have some passion.
I would say whiny babies.
63.3% of the vote goes to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles against Tina Belcher.
Of course.
Tina did get just about 37% of that. Scooby-Doo beats Bobby Hill. That makes me sad, but it makes sense. 76% of the vote there went to Scoob. And then SpongeBob with 80% of the vote, which is not as much as I thought it would be against Chucky Finster. Beats Chucky, who only had 20% of that vote. We've already said Miss Frizzle with 76% of the vote. And then another really close one, 53% of the vote for Uncle Iroh to beat Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack had 46%.
Better than I thought Samurai Jack would do.
Courage the Cowardly Dog gets walloped by Tom and Jerry, who get 90% of that vote. That means your Elite 8 matchups are Bugs Bunny against Zuko, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles against Scooby-Doo.
Whoa.
That's tough. SpongeBob against Miss Frizzle. Uncle Iroh against Tom and Jerry. So that'll be the Elite 8. We'll be on the lookout for that on Instagram. Follow that same link. Look for that post that says tap here, or just follow the link that's under our profile name. Let's go to advertisements. Guys, it's time to take a look. Gwyneth Paltrow's head, maybe? I don't know. Depends on the context. But today, that was a big spoiler. Maybe you don't even know what I'm talking about, and it's going to come back to you when you watch a movie.
Spoilers for Iron Man 2. The movie got spoilers for
Iron Man 2. Maybe that's why she doesn't remember she's in movies. Have
you seen the thing of Lawrence Fishburne forgetting that he was in Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Wow.
He forgot he was in Ant-Man 2. There's a person interviewing him as part of like the press junket for John Wick 4. And he is like, yeah, I love the MCU, and I'm happy I'm not in it. I'm content to just watch it and be a fan. I don't think I would ever want to do one of those. And the guy's like,
goodness me.
You were in Ant-Man 2.
Honestly, I forgot Lawrence Fishburne was in Ant-Man 2. So
I forgot Ant-Man 2 happened.
I did a little bit. The Adam Raider on Discord. And here's the thing. And what's in the box on that top level tier there, that tier there, the 5-level tier on Patreon, where you get to join our Discord, you'll have the opportunity to ask us questions that we'll share on this podcast. We have a lot of people ask questions like this. The Adam Raider asked, if you could live in any fictional movie realm, which one would you inhabit? Easy for me, The Road. Next. I'm kidding. No thanks. I'm just going to go with recency here of what we were talking about. I wouldn't mind living in the wizarding world, to be completely honest.
Poop on the floor, magic it away.
I would love that. Poop
That's
on
how
floor,
wizards do.
magic it away.
It's canon, baby.
I think I'm just gonna also recency. We're going through. We're working our way through the Wes Anderson movies we've never seen right now. I think I'm just gonna say the Wes Anderson verse. It's so quaint.
Do you have any pastels?
I do like that.
I don't. I'd have to pick up some pastels, but I sort of think
they would turn pastel. If
I think you're issued pastels when you enter the Anderson verse.
You get your Anderson issued pastel fatigues. You can wear them 24/7.
Yeah. I just want to talk fast and say what I mean all the time.
Yeah.
Hobbiton. I would love to live in the Shire.
Yeah. Down there in the Shire. Are you going to be a hobbit?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, cool.
I'm pretty tall with regular feet, but I would be pretty short with big feet if I got to eat like 6 meals a day.
Yeah.
You can do that now if you want.
Very nice. Joseph Glass says, in honor of Renfield coming out soon, Nicolas Cage, good or bad, is his question simply. He said, interpret as you will. Bonus points for each impression of one of his many characters.
Can I just say
it's
both?
not really. Yeah, it's just Nick Cage talking in any of his movies' context. There's really no difference.
No.
In his characters very much.
Except for Con Air. Nick Cage is a missile, right?
Yeah.
It's not that he's good or bad. It's what you point him at.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. I say good.
I say good.
Yes, bad. He's had bad, and when he's had bad, it's been really bad, but it's been so bad it's good. So
right.
all
That's what I'm
roads
saying.
lead to
He
good,
is
ultimately.
both, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Nicolas Cage is good.
One of my favorite moments of our entire podcast was talking about how he chose something I forgot when I was a kid. I just thought it was a cool maneuver, how he saved the Declaration of Independence before he saved a human life. And that
feels like what real Nick
move.
Cage would do, right? Nick Cage, who famously owned
love his
maybe
country.
still owns a Tyrannosaurus Rex skull.
Maybe. B. Taylor asks, if you consider the MCU as ruling the 2010s box office, what's going to be the 2020s analog?
Ooh.
So our current decade.
Video game movies.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
It's the
with
new
Super
thing,
Mario.
too.
Video
It's a
game
big
adaptations are about to be the new thing thanks to
Sure.
The Last of Us. Critical success and Mario's financial success. Get ready. Every game you've ever liked is going to get a film or TV adaptation that's going to be somewhere between terrible and excellent.
Yeah. What was the name? There was a technical name that was given for Top Gun Maverick being so far from its original
Legacy sequel.
Legacy sequel, I think, could sneak in there and be incredibly successful.
We're
I think
definitely
there's plenty
in
of
the era
things
of
that had a
legacy sequel.
one-off in the like 80s that someone might be like,
The Karate Adult.
Karate Man.
Hold up.
I'd watch that.
I mean, it's called Cobra Kai. It exists already.
It is true. Oh, another bit of news, by the way, as we got an update in Discord about someone talking about Fast 10. Had no idea that Fast 10 was part one of a finale. Did y'all know that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I
didn't know.
I wasn't surprised when I read it, so I think I must have known it.
So what do they call the next movie? It's still Fast 10?
Fast End.
Fast 10 2.
I like Fast End very much. Fast End the Furious.
I could feel you wanting to say that you liked both of those. I could feel it coming up inside of you, the little peacekeeper in your soul wanting to say, I like both of those so much.
Love it all. As not being a peacekeeper, Dill the Destroyer, it's in the name, asks, which of the three of you would win in a 3-for-all? Weapons allowed. He's like putting us in a real world scenario, perhaps. Also, I can't remember if this was asked before, but who are your Smash Brothers mains? I don't have a main. My Smash Brothers main is Chaos. I just
You feel like a
You've
Game & Watch kind of boy.
You've been a Kirby guy more times than you haven't, in my experience.
Really?
Yeah.
I usually don't. I don't know if I like to play Kirby.
Well, there you
Maybe
go.
Duck Hunt is one of my favorites to play as.
What a weird
I love
decision.
Rob.
It's Roy
yeah,
for
I don't
me.
know.
Roy's our boy, in fact.
Depends on the game. It depends on which Smash Bros we're talking.
I'm sure he means like the most recent.
Most recent in
The newest boy.
It depends. Sometimes I'm a Falco boy. Sometimes I'm a Toon Link boy. It kind of just depends on wherever the spirit of Smash moves me that day.
In terms, Dill, without getting too graphic, in terms of the real world scenario of us fighting to the death, which I would never do, I think this trio is pretty tenacious. I think it would be a scenario in which maybe we all don't make it. I think it's like
We just stand in a triangle stabbing over and over until we all fall down.
That's called a Mexican stab off.
Yeah.
Yes. That's essentially what it is. I'm glad you remembered that. What's one movie, Crachel says, what's one movie you think every person should see at least once in their life? I'll go back to The Road. No, I think Jurassic Park.
Nice.
Every person should see at least once in their life.
I'm going to say Arrival. I'm looking at the poster for it right now, hanging on my wall. I just think it's beautiful, and I think that everybody should see it.
Yep. Because you don't even have to really be like, even if you don't like sci-fi, to an extent, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Good call, man.
47 Ronin, probably for me. So you can see what Keanu's really capable of. No, I think E.T. Obviously E.T. Y'all heard of this little guy? Jess got me tickets for my birthday. We're going to go see the Dallas Symphony Orchestra do like the live performance of the music for E.T. while the movie plays.
Doge, that's going to be great. You think you're going to cry maybe?
Going to cry so much.
Oh, man. Crachel asks a question, and this will be our last question as we wrap up the episode. What is something you love about podcasting? And something, if anything, you don't like? I can say it's a love-hate. I loved the energy of us podcasting in a room together. The convenience of Zoom will never go away, and this has become more and more familiar to me, and I have enjoyed this because I think our energy can still be great. But I do miss that, so I don't like that we don't have as many opportunities to do that together, and then that feels more difficult just in terms. Like we used to drive. One of us used to drive usually pretty far either way, or y'all both would. It was like if y'all came down to me, it was a drive. It took a half day.
Slugging out a solid 45 on my way down to you.
Yeah. One thing I love about podcasting is, I don't know, it's just felt a little bit like a
actually
cantrip.
Nothing. Oh no.
Like in D&D. It's just kind of like an assumed part of my life. And it's a great part of my life. There's these weird things like when we went to go see John Wick 4 together, or, we'll have many of the parties or something that Jordan will host at his home or something, and we see each other in person. All three of us, I know these two are basically neighbors. It's just kind of, it's a weird phenomenon of being like, I see you all the time, but I don't really see you in person.
I don't remember how tall you are.
That it makes these two a regular part of my life, and that's a big love about podcasting, I think.
Yeah, I think the thing I love and the thing I hate are the same thing, which is that it just never ends. I think the thing that I love about that is that it's this consistent thing that we have that gives us an excuse to just, we're stuck with each other. And then B, it gives me a permanent group to talk about movies, TV shows, and video games with, which is like the best. But then also it's like every week my alarm goes off earlier than I want it to on my day off. And it just never, there's no end in sight. It just goes forever.
Just never ends.
Be
encouraged.
I like the recording part. I like the podcasting part. The talking to my friends part, watching trailers, formulating opinions about them, watching movies part. I don't like editing. That's boring. I did the conversation once. I don't want to listen to it again. I was there.
Sorry, Doge.
I got it.
Sorry,
I already know.
Man.
So if there's anyone listening that thinks that they'd be a good editor on the cheap, hit us up.
Yeah, hey, let us know. Cheap as in Free.
On that free.
I edit, when I go back and edit, I play it at like, I think 1.6 speed or something just to make it through. So anytime I hear one of our episodes, like on the podcast app or on Spotify or something, I'm just like, wow, we are going so slow. How does anybody listen to this very slow Turtle Man podcast?
How can they even enjoy this? To end today's episode, we're going to have Riley of Discord sponsor this final question. I'd love to have your name and what fictional character do you think could win the Hunger Games?
Besides Katniss Everdeen, I assume?
Besides Katniss, yeah. What other fictional character? Yeah, besides Katniss Everdeen. I'm Carter and Aragorn, son of Arathorn.
Sure. Yeah. I'm Doge, and the answer is the Predator.
Dude, perfect. I was just thinking that. That would be savage.
I'm Jordan. Spider-Man, Superman, the Hulk.
Actually,
Captain
most of the fictional characters,
Wonder Woman.
I think.
You basically said, like, hey, you think you could beat kids?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know, most full-grown adults.
Kevin McAllister.
Anybody strong.
That's my favorite thing about those old Superman cartoons is how they always start with, like, more powerful than a locomotive, faster than a kid.
Literally will rip a kid in half. Knives, rocks, and sticks don't hurt him. Yeah, it's over.
Man.
It's over for those nerds. The moment anybody with superpowers show up. A more interesting answer? Dom Toretto.
Huh. He would just befriend them all, and they would just end it.
He would just stomp the jungle in half.
Yeah.
He would.
Yeah.
When you fight the jungle fights back.
That's true.
This is the smell of the leftover tuna fish sandwich you left in your lunchbox over the weekend in a wimpy trash bag.
Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy!
Blech! And this is the smell of that same sandwich in a hefty, ultra-strong trash bag.
Hefty, hefty, hefty!
Smell the difference? Hefty Ultra Strong has Arm & Hammer with continuous odor control, so no matter what's inside your trash, you can stay one step ahead of stinky. And for bigger jobs, try the superior strength of Hefty Large Black Bags.